Stop right there and listen. God didn't just forgive your screw-ups. He weaponized them. Not as some cosmic plan B because you ruined plan A. Not as a redirected punishment, but as the literal foundation for what was planned from the very beginning. This message is going to show you exactly what each specific failure was building inside you, and why, without that exact detour, you wouldn't be a functional match for what's coming next. You've got mistakes in your past that still carry weight. Not as active guilt, necessarily, but as a heavy sense that those moments defined you in a negative way. You've looked at people who seem to have a cleaner track record and wondered if they're getting further ahead because they didn't stumble. You've heard the cliché that God works all things for good, but it feels abstract. It doesn't have a name. It doesn't have a specific function for the hell you actually went through. You still don't know exactly what each specific failure was meant to build. And because that purpose is blurry, the weight remains. This isn't just you ruminating. It isn't a lack of self-forgiveness. It's that tension between knowing there's a purpose and lacking the specific vocabulary to see the architecture of what was built. But the fact that you're here right now, searching for this, already puts you miles ahead of what's coming. I'm going to give you 3 very precise things before this message is over. First, the ancient Hebrew term for the process where a failure becomes a building block, and why it's a core doctrine, not just a feel-good platitude. Second, a 3-step protocol to identify exactly what each mistake built so you can actually step into what's been prepared for you. Third, a declaration that strips your past of its power to disqualify you and installs it as your ultimate authority. Stay with me until the end. Block 5 is going to show you that what you lived through wasn't a detour from your destiny. It was the path to it. Now I need you to do something specific. Close your eyes for a second, or just look away from the screen. What I'm about to show you won't work if your attention is divided. I'm going to list 5 signs that confirm you've been through a process of spiritual construction through failure. If 3 or more of these hit home, then what comes next belongs to you. Sign number 1. There is something you understand with a depth that people with perfect histories just can't grasp. You've noticed it. Someone talks about a struggle, and you see layers and nuances they completely miss. You might call it life experience. That's the wrong name. The real name is Tikkun. Tikkun builds an authority of understanding that cannot be bought or studied. What you know came from where you've been, and that insight is the raw material for your next season. Sign number 2. You can reach people in situations where others, those with the cleaner resumes, get shut out. Someone is going through a crisis, and when you speak, they actually listen. Not because you're more eloquent, but because you've stood in that same fire. You call it natural empathy. Wrong name. The access you have isn't a personality trait. It's Tikkun in operation. What was repaired in you creates the bridge for what needs to be repaired in others. Sign number 3. When you look back at specific failures, you can identify a lesson that only that specific path could have taught you. It's not generic wisdom. It's something surgical, a skill, a perception, a boundary you finally learned to honor. You think anyone would learn from their mistakes. Wrong name. The specific coding of your specific failure is the exact software the next phase of your life requires. Sign number 4. You've had moments where the past, the thing you carried as a burden, suddenly became the most useful thing you had to offer. Someone needed a word, and your shameful story was exactly what they needed to hear to survive. You called it a coincidence. Wrong name. That was Tikkun, invisible operation. The weight became the bridge. Not by accident, but by design. Sign number 5. You are still here. And what you carry now isn't just the sum of your wins. It's the distillation of everything the process built. You aren't just someone who moved on. You are someone who carries a specific substance that wouldn't exist without the struggle. You think you just survived. Wrong name. What you carry is embodied tikkun. It is more valuable now than it would have been if you'd never failed. Listen to me. God didn't just forgive what you did. He used what you lived as the construction material for your future. And your future needs you. Not despite the process, but because of it. If 3 or more of those signs match your life, the rest of this message was encoded specifically for you. Go ahead and comment one mistake from your past that you can now see as building material. Declare your tikkun publicly, not as a confession of guilt, but as a recognition of the process. Close your eyes again. Take a breath. This doesn't work if you're distracted. There is a word in the original Hebrew that translation has never quite been able to capture. The word is tikkun. Tav, Yud, Kof, Vav, and the final nun. You've heard about forgiveness. You've heard about restoration. But tikkun is neither of those. It isn't forgiveness that just erases the mistake. It isn't restoration that just puts you back at the starting line. It's something more. The popular version says that repair means deletion. That God forgives the mistake and it vanishes, leaving no useful trace. As if the process never happened. As if you could just go back to who you were before without carrying anything forward. That's the Sunday school version. And the cost of that misunderstanding is devastating. Because when you treat repair as deletion, you hide your past out of shame. You lose the function and the authority that the tikkun built. Tikkun means rectification or repair, but not like a janitor cleaning a spill. Like an engineer integrating material. Correction, refinement, upgrading. The root is found in Ecclesiastes and in the concept of tikkun olam. The idea that the fragments of what was broken are the very materials used to build what is coming. In tikkun, the mistake isn't discarded. It's reintegrated as a component of a new, stronger structure. Peter denied Jesus 3 times, and it was Peter who was handed the keys to the kingdom. Paul actively persecuted the early church, and it was Paul who wrote more than half of the New Testament. Joseph was sold into slavery by his own brothers, and it was Joseph who saved the entire lineage from starvation. None of them had their mistakes deleted. Each one had their failure incorporated as the very thing that authorized them for their specific purpose. Apply that to your life. Every error in your past was tikkun in progress, and your future was sized for someone who has been through that specific fire, not for someone who never messed up. The weight you carried was the weight of the material being forged. Now, it's ready. You aren't waiting to be erased. You're at the point where the tikkun becomes visible. Let me show you this in 2 ways. One biblical, one secular. Both prove the same point. Paul persecuted the church. Not out of ignorance, but out of active conviction. He thought he was serving God by killing Christians. And Paul's tikkun didn't erase that. It incorporated it. Paul wrote, "I am the least of the apostles because I persecuted the church of God." But 1 Corinthians 15:9. He carried it, but not as a disqualifying weight. He carried it as the material that gave him authority. And it was exactly that Paul who wrote the most profound letters on grace. The weight of his persecution became the fuel for his authority. Tikkun. Now look at the secular metaphor, the coal that becomes a diamond. The process requires pressure, time, heat, the exact conditions of a mistake lived and processed. The diamond doesn't deny it was coal. The diamond is what the coal became through the process. Same substance, different structure, different value, different function. What happened to you wasn't a punishment. It was tikkun, and now you carry the diamond that the process produced. Both narratives point to the same truth. What you lived through wasn't a waste. It was construction, and what was built is ready to be put to work. Let me stop for a full minute. You made specific mistakes. That's a fact. Those mistakes taught you things a clean victory never could. That's also a fact. You carry something today that wouldn't exist without that process. Fact. And this isn't some motivational pep talk to make you feel better. This is observable tikkun with an identifiable function. You can see what was built. You can see where it gives you authority. You can see who you can reach because of it. Now I need to show you who you are on the other side of this process. Identity number 1, the distilled. This is your origin identity. Who you are today isn't the sum of your wins. It's the distillation of the entire process. The distilled isn't someone who just survived the fire. They are what the fire produced. The concentrated essence. What's left when everything non-essential has been burned away. You aren't someone who went through hell and came out the same. You are who the process manufactured. And the distilled has a density that can't be found any other way. This identity authorizes you to receive your future without waiting for your past to be deleted. You don't have to wait for your history to disappear before you move forward. Your history is part of your qualification. The distilled doesn't apologize for where they came from. They carry their origin as proof of their strength. Identity number 2, the bearer of process authority. This is your journey identity. The tikkun you lived built a specific authority that cannot be inherited or assigned. It's not title authority. It's process authority. The authority of someone who's been through the fire and knows how it moves. The authority of someone who is broken and knows how the break works. The authority of someone who was repaired and knows how the repair operates. This identity authorizes you to operate with the weight of what was built without making excuses for the path you took. You don't have to hide where you came from to be taken seriously. Where you came from is exactly why you carry weight. A bearer of process authority doesn't explain the past as a lapse in judgment. They present the past as a credential. Identity number 3, the Tikkun Builder. This is your mission identity. What was repaired in you provides the blueprint for what needs to be repaired in others. Your story isn't just yours. It's the evidence someone else needs to believe there's a way out. You aren't just a recipient of tikkun. You are an agent of it. What was built in you becomes the bridge for what needs to be built in others. This identity authorizes you to be seen with your past integrated, not hidden. You don't have to leave out the bad parts to be useful. The bad parts are exactly what make you useful. A Tikkun Builder doesn't testify despite the process. They testify through the process. Comment which identity you receive right now: the Distilled, the bearer of process authority, or the Tikkun Builder, not as a preference, but as a recognition of who you are right now. And make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Not as a favor to me, but so the next word finds you without resistance. Every message here is encoded for those in the middle of a tikkun process. You need to be positioned to receive what's coming. Now I'm going to give you a free protocol. 3 steps you can take today. 3 practical moves that release the tikkun already built inside you. This is the TIKKUN Protocol. Step 1. Identification. Name a specific mistake that you still carry as a weight. Not to condemn yourself, but to label the material. Out loud, alone, say this: I name this specific mistake as tikkun material. It is not my identity. It was the process that built something specific. Name it, not in generalities. Specifically, that one mistake you know, the one that still feels heavy. Name it. Step 2. Identification of construction. Honest question: what do you know? What can you do? Or what do you have today that wouldn't exist without that specific failure? Don't get philosophical. Identify it. Out loud, name it. What that mistake built was this. Maybe it's a skill, a perspective, a boundary, a level of compassion you didn't have before. Name what the mistake built. Be specific. Step 3. Releasing the weight while retaining the material. Say this out loud: I release the weight of this mistake as an argument for my disqualification. I retain what the process built. The material stays. The weight goes. Repeat that 3 times. Each time removes a layer. The first layer is mental. The second is emotional. The third is spiritual. The material stays. The weight goes. The sign that the protocol worked isn't a high. It's a shift in how you think about that specific mistake over the next few hours. It doesn't vanish, but it loses its argument. The material remains. The weight goes. You'll notice the difference the next time it pops into your head. The texture changes. It isn't a burden anymore. It's recognized as raw material. If you want to work through the full Tikkun process, to remove the weight of your history as a roadblock and position what was built as your authority, the Miracle Journal is in the first pinned comment. Not now, though. After you complete tonight's protocol, after you name the mistake, after you identify what was built, after you release the weight, the journal is there for when you're ready. Now, listen with total focus. Over the next 72 hours, 3 things are going to be thrown at you. Not maybe. Definitely. I'm going to name them, and I'm going to give you the specific weapon for each. You're going to need this before the week is over. Tactic 1, the relativization of Tikkun. This will come as a thought. Everyone goes through stuff. It's nothing special. Everybody messes up. Everybody learns. Your case isn't unique. This voice tries to use the commonality of failure to deny the specificity of what was built in your journey. The weapon against this is to say out loud, the process is universal. What was built in my process is specific, and my future was sized for what was built in me. Repeat that every time that thought creeps in. Relativization can't stand up to specificity. Tactic 2. The exception clause. This will come as a sophisticated thought. That's fine for normal mistakes. But mine was different. Mine was intentional. Mine had irreversible consequences. I crossed a line, others didn't. This voice tries to create a category where your specific failure can't be Tikkun material. It tries to reinstall the weight you just released. The weapon is to declare, there is no mistake outside the reach of Tikkun. If Paul made it, if Peter made it, if Joseph made it, I make it. The exception isn't theological. It's a tactic. Say it until the exception falls. Tactic 3. Process pride. This is the subtlest one. It comes as a quiet satisfaction that you've been through more than others. As if Tikkun makes you superior. As if people with cleaner histories are less qualified. This voice uses Tikkun as an argument for ego. If you buy into it, you lose the bridge function that Tikkun builds. The weapon is to say, Tikkun didn't make me special. It made me useful. It didn't lift me above. It equipped me to reach. Pride can't survive functional humility. And a fourth tactic, the sneakiest of all. Using Tikkun as an excuse to avoid responsibility for new mistakes. God uses my mistakes anyway, so I don't have to be careful. Listen to me. Tikkun is a process, not a license. The fact that God uses what was broken doesn't give you permission to keep breaking things. Tikkun builds through what was repaired, not through what stays broken. This voice tries to turn a process into a hall pass. Cut it off. Say, Tikkun is repair. It is not a license for repetition. Those 4 voices are coming. You've been warned. Now you have the weapons. Use them. Now place your hand over your chest. Feel the weight. Now open your hand and slowly lower your arm. The weight drops. The material stays. Feel that physically. This isn't a metaphor. It's a spiritual instruction through your body. I'm going to lead you through a release of 5 burdens. You're going to let each one go out loud. You don't have to scream, but you need to hear yourself. Say it with me. I release the weight of this mistake as an argument that I am unworthy. Say it out loud. I release it. I release the comparison to those with cleaner histories. Say it out loud. I release it. I release the idea that Tikkun made me special. It made me useful. Say it out loud. I release it. I release the wait for deletion before I can receive. Say it out loud. I release it. I release the shame of my journey as if it were a detour. Say it out loud. I release it. Now I call over you the three identities delivered in this message. The Distilled, the bearer of process authority, the Tikkun Builder. These aren't aspirations. They are functions. You receive them now, not to become them one day, but to operate in them immediately. Now listen to the Father's voice, not as my interpretation, but as a direct word over you. I saw every mistake you lived. I saw the weight you carried afterward, and I saw what was being built while you were carrying it. You didn't have access to this before because the process was still in motion. Now it is complete, and what is coming next isn't arriving for someone who never failed. It is arriving for someone who has been through Tikkun, someone who has exactly what your destiny needs in a receiver. I didn't erase your past. I used it. And now you carry something that wouldn't exist without that path. You aren't waiting for qualification. You were qualified by the process itself. And what is coming recognizes that. I cover your mind now against relativization. I cover your relationships against destructive comparison. I cover your timing against the hurry that denies the process. And I cover your Tikkun authority against the pride that destroys the bridge. You are committed. You are commissioned. You are sent. Repeat that with me. I am committed. I am commissioned. I am sent. Don't say amen yet. I am committed. I am commissioned. I am sent. Amen. Comment right now. Tikkun built me. Declare it before you leave. Not as a pretty quote, but as a public recognition that the process is complete. There is one person you know who is still carrying the past as a disqualifying weight. Not a group. That one person. The one who just popped into your mind. Send this to them right now. Not tomorrow. Not later. Now. Because the Tikkun revealed to you needs to reach someone who is standing right where you used to be. In the next message, I'm going to show you what Tikkun produces that a clean history never can, and why the greatest purposes in the kingdom were handed to those who went through the process. Don't miss it. What's coming is the practical installation of everything revealed here today. It is done. You are not the same person you were when this message started.